Okay, real quick before it starts raining and you won't be able to hear me. Basically what I did here was hook up the U-joint where it needs to go. My previous number was 82.5. That was just measuring drive line. So I wanted to get the axle forward and it actually in the yoke there, about where it needs to go. I've got about 1.25 inches here where I want this to slide in. To verify 82.5, and then I was going to also check the axle for square, and I was going to use these. The problem is I realized that these are on rubber and just a spring slider. See how much movement there is? There's literally nothing on top of this thing that I can utilize to check for square. So it's super important that my numbers are absolutely dead nuts accurate on both sides, otherwise this thing will be out of whack. So 82.5 I verified. This basically needs to move forward another 1.25 inches in order to close that up. Once I do that, I'm exactly 82.5 from the center of each hole to where this rests naturally. So 82.5 is my number. I forgot I wanted to point out too, I had to come along this side back, and I had to come along this side forward because it had rolled out of square. So this side was a little bit too far back, and it was all dog leg. I mean, you could see it. It was like this was pointed way over here. So it was pretty nasty. So I wanted to get that square too, just to make sure everything lined up well. So now that I know for sure 82.5 is the number, I'll take the come-alongs off, let everything fall out of place, mark it up, and drill it. Okay, making the story pull. So exactly 82.5, and that number can vary. It doesn't really matter. As long as you use the exact same pole on every single hole, the number doesn't matter. I mean, this could vary to 82 3/8, and it's not going to matter. All that means is that you're going to be moving the axle 1/8 of an inch less than normal. What's important is that everything is tight, so that there's very little play in between these holes. So I measured the head of this bolt. It's 5/8. I'm sorry, the shoulder is 5/8. So I drilled a 5/8 hole. That guy fits in there nice and tight. So now that can go in every hole nice and tight. You don't need to put the nut on it, but. And then I measured this here pencil, and this was 27/64. So pulled out the drill bits and found a drill bit that this sits in real nice and snug. So now I've got a sharp point, and then also you don't want to sharpen those by hand because your point will vary. I mean, this is kind of being a little anal, but it's suspension stuff. So if you sharpen this with a knife, you know, your point could be a little off to the left. It gets dull, you go sharpen it again, and it could be a little bit off to the right. Like we're talking like 64ths of an inch. It's not going to be that much. So, but just to, in the essence of being accurate, make that nice and sharp with a pencil sharpener. And now I've got a pole. So what I'll do is I'll put some tape on the frame where I'm going to mark at, just so the pencil shows up. It's easier to show up. And you'll make one of these for each size hole you've got. So the main components on this truck are just a little bit over 5/8. I'll have to measure those holes. But then I've got some smaller pieces. These are all a little less, so those are probably 1/2 inch. So I'll probably use the same pole, just drill a 1/2 inch hole. And I'll probably use the same hole and drill a 1/2 inch hole, you know, exactly 2 inches up both directions. So now you can take this, stick it in hole number 1. Trying to do this with one hand is tough. All right, stick it in hole number 1. Come over here. make your line. Stick it in hole number 2. Hole number 2. Make your line. Interesting that that lines up right on that one. Stick it in hole number 3. I can't see hole number 3. Make your line. So if you do it in one hole, you can see there's a little discrepancy because you're working on an arc. So it's important that you put them in each corresponding hole where it needs to go. So that's the very front holes marked. And then do the same thing with the next holes back. Come on, baby. There it is. And on the last hole, okay, so now there's 6 holes. 1, 2, 3, 4. That'll be interesting to see what that's about. 5 and 6. So actually, let's look at that hole that was in our way just to see what that could. So, and this will be a problem. So I was hoping to be able to stick a board across this and measure down accurately, but the frame has a twist in it, so there's a 3/8 inch gap there. There's probably nothing over here. Yeah, so that's not going to be a good way to measure because there's a difference in the height of the, unless I were to twist this frame back. But just for shits and grins, let's see what that middle hole is doing. So the middle hole is going to be almost exactly 5 inches. Okay, so then let's take this over here, put it above that one. 5 inches. Interesting. So this hole right here matches up exactly with this hole here. Kind of doesn't surprise me too much, just because these frames are all designed to be kind of universal. So I may end up finding a few more, and there's going to be 3 there, nothing there. These ones may line up with something. Let's see, what are those? So if I measure from the back hole to that little set right there, we're 26 inches. So same thing, back hole here, 26 inches. Yeah, nothing there. So these ones aren't going to line up with anything. Those will be unused. But anyways, so you get the idea. Measure all that out, and then I'll have to find a good solution about. I may just end up using a square and just putting a square on it and ticking off the square, and that way I can just take it over here, set the square on the frame, make a mark on each center hole, okay, and then take it over here, set it on the frame, and transfer that mark straight off on each hole. And that should make sure that everything lines up all directions. It's probably the best way to do it. So there we are. All right, got all the marks up, got everything pinned, ready for some drilling. Holy crap. All right, well, there's a bunch of holes drilled. Look at the holes in this frame, man. It is incredible how many holes are in this frame. Like, none of these I even touched. These were already here. That's pretty wild. So I was trying like mad to find a magnet drill that I could rent. But all the rental places, Sunbelt, United Rentals, even some of the local places, they sell the drill, or they rent the drill, but they don't rent any of the attachments. So I didn't want a annular drill bit because I'd probably spend 120 bucks on one. I don't have any, and I don't have the adapter that takes the Morris chuck to a twist drill bit for the mag drill. So all these stupid rental places, they'll rent you the drill, but they don't have any adapters. And I'm like, well, why would I have on hand all the adapters for a drill that I use that I have to rent? Obviously, I don't own it. So why would I have all the adapters for it? If you rent the tool, you should rent the adapters that go with it so that it can be used. At least that's my thinking. I don't know. So anyways, here's my arsenal. This son of a bitch, man, this one drills like mad. It looks like I sharpened that one before. This one drills like crazy. Holy cow. I mean, the chips on that, you get cranking on with this stupid little drill, and the chips end up being like a foot long. Look at this. That thing cuts so well. I'll have to do whatever the heck I did on that drill bit to the rest of them. So anyways, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 holes. And as I was drilling them, I was just peeling the tape off just so that I know it's been drilled, and I just got the last one drilled. So, vámonos. So I did find a friend, he had a mag drill he was gonna let me borrow that did have a twist drill chuck on it, but he's like an hour and a half away. So I just got froggy and decided to see what could happen with these. So this whole side is done. It's ready to bolt up. So now all I gotta do is go over there, mark all those holes out and drill all those, and then this thing's done. The rear end is where it needs to go, and I can pull it out of the shop, which is cool. I wanna pull it out and just kind of see what it looks like. With the new wheelbase. And then I think this weekend, I might get a little froggy too and set the bed on it. I still got to figure out what to do with that battery box. I'm gonna have to buy a side mount box for the frame. I don't really know what I'm gonna do with that because I need some place to mount the electric motor for the hoist too. I don't know if that's enough room there. I don't know. I don't know if there's enough room here either, really. I may end up having to move. I've got all kinds of extra airline going back, so I may end up actually moving this air tank forward just to get me some more space back here, where I can just mount a toolbox, put the battery in it. Dang it, the battery cables won't be long enough that way. I got plenty of airline to move it forward, but I don't have enough battery cable to move it backwards. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, whatever. So onto this side, then we can start bolting stuff up. Interesting. I just noticed this. This is front cross member and front cross member for the main suspension. Look at this crack. And it goes on the inside too, all the way through. All the way across. Big old crack. Interesting. Well, fresh frame now. I'll try to do this one-handed. It's not going to work real well, but we'll give it a shot. So all I'm doing is hooking the tape on the top, pulling it super, super tight. And then you line up the edge of it right where the center of the hole is, and right where the tape just about touches is where your mark will end up being. So you can see that's where, oh, hold on. Right dead in the center. Then you just do the same thing down there, pull it tight the same way, mark it, there you go. Man glitter! Okay, well, there's one shortened wheelbase truck. You got the first look same time as I did. It's a lot shorter. So I measured the bed. The downside of having not coming further up with the axle is the bed ends up only about a foot past the past this rear cross member, which kind of sucks. I mean, it's not a big deal, but that messes with the proportions that the original truck had. But I'd say I've already messed with the proportions the original truck had. So 14 foot. What I do like about that though is I don't have such a big overhang with the bed. I may be able to build a bumper pull hitch for this truck too, which would be kind of cool. If it was, you know, if the bed overhung 3 foot, there's no way I could do a bumper pull. No, I guess I still could because the frame would still come out that far. Anyways, so, well, there it is. So a couple things I need to do. I owe tightening these two bump stop mounts down. This is just a tough spot to get into, so I'll have to do that by hand. I owe a bolt here, and I owe a bolt here. These two lined up on a weird hole in the frame, so I wanted to get these mounted, and then I drilled those. So I just need to put 2 bolts in there. Everything else over here is buttoned up and tight. I broke a tab off of this guy, which sucks. So I don't know, that's aluminum. Yeah, it looks like it's aluminum. So I'm gonna just TIG weld that back together so that can mount back up on there. The air hoses, I don't think I'm gonna shorten them, to be honest with you. I've got this, this is one of the drive shaft hoops. Oh man, I'm so excited to haul this trash out of here. You have no idea. That sounds ridiculous, but it's so true. First load's right there. So if this was one of the old drive shaft loops, oh crap, it's gonna rain again. And this used to be right here. I think I actually have another one. But there's all these frame clips. So I'm kind of thinking, put that guy there, put that guy there, put some of these frame clips, maybe frame clip up here, and just let this thing hang. I mean, it's not hurting anything. And the other side, same thing. All of these are tight, but I owe one bolt here. But other than that, it's done. And I'm getting rained on. So tomorrow I think I'll come out and fart around with that bed. I'd love to see this truck with the bed on it tomorrow. So I want to drive it too. That's got to be so much easier to drive. 82 inches or 82 inches shorter. I think it'll be way easier to drive. Pretty exciting.